Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio. We are celebrating Black History Month. We said that we would do 20 events in 28 days. Guess what? This is event number 20. And this is Health Night. So we are celebrating Black History Month by talking about health, talking to folks who are in the business of keeping you healthy. And this is the last one. And this one was saved till the end for a reason, because at the end of the day, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And that's basically what it boils down to. And so it's important, you know, and in particular in the Black community, that you pay attention to your health in a number of different ways. And we're going to look at it from a holistic point of view. You know, I'm not going to, at least right now, recite a bunch of statistics to you. But we're also going to talk about health disparities. And health disparities affect African Americans more than anyone else. There are some things, you know, that are just horrific when you would think about it. When you think about the fact that 25% of Black folk die waiting for health care. That's 25%. A quarter of people have been diagnosed with something, but die before it's treated. You don't think that anyone would stand for that. But yet, that is something that is taking place now. So anyway, we're going to talk about a lot of things during Health Night and have some folks who, again, are in the health industry share with you what they do. This is our final night of celebrating Black History Month here at the station, 20 events in 28 days. Last night we did social services, social justice night, and I just a wonder of a plethora of organizations were here representing their community and what they do and how they share in the community. And you got to find out who they were in social justice organizations, and you got to find out who they were and what they advocate for. And then we had a discussion. And so if you didn't see that, after you get done with tonight, at some point go back, and I would suggest you check out that show as well. We had a number of different shows here, Experiencing Blackness and Rainier Valley, and we had an education night show. But tonight, it's about health and what that means for everyone, in particular to folks who are Black African American. So I'm going to start this off by asking Linda to come up here. And hi. There you go. So we'll start here. And why don't you start off by telling us who you are, who your organization is that you represent, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay. I don't know. Should I look in the camera? It feels so weird.
You can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my name
That
is...
would be good, because these are folks who are... So here's the deal, and maybe I should explain this. To those of you who are listening to us through our audio streaming service, whether that be through TuneIn or through our website, we're also broadcasting this on our Facebook page. So if you went to RainierAvenueRadio.World, you would see this broadcast on Facebook. Now, for those of you who are listening or watching us on Facebook, if you happen to get up and you can't take FaceTime with you, you can check us out on the TuneIn app. Just search for Rainier Avenue Radio, and then you can carry us with you everywhere you go. Or you can always just go to our website, RainierAvenueRadio.World, and then you can, click listen and listen there. So we're coming at you a number of different ways. And so, yeah, but yes, the camera is rolling.
Okay, thanks for that explanation. So my name is Linda Chasteen, and I am an HIV/AIDS coordinator with African American Reach and Teach Health Ministries, and it's a small nonprofit. It was founded in 2002 out of the need for African Americans to have a place to get information about HIV, and it developed into an organization that does community health outreach around many chronic diseases that African Americans are disproportionately affected by, like HIV, diabetes, kidney disease, asthma, high blood pressure. And so what we do is we coordinate trainings in the area through Harborview or organizations like NAVOS to teach those living with chronic illness how to navigate their pain, how to decide whether or not they want to take medication, how to eat healthier. We also coordinate trainings with other medical providers in the area, or researchers or nurses, community health workers around social justice and health equity and how they can be better advocates for their African American clients.
Awesome. Okay, you got that. Now I want to go back over some stuff specifically that you talked about. And I did want to definitely mention that this night is sponsored by POCAAN, People of Color Against AIDS Network. So give them a round of applause. And they've been in our community for years, and immediately upon finding out that we were doing this, we're right away in support of what was going on. And we appreciate that, and we appreciate y'all and what you've been doing. And so I just wanted to make sure, because I'm gonna say that a few times, but anyway, just thought I would bring that up right now. I want to go back over a few things that you were saying. And you said chronic diseases. And so let's start with that for anyone who may be unaware of what that means or what that, when you say chronic diseases, what is that?
A chronic disease is something that you are living with day to day and will not or cannot be, usually cannot be cured with, medicine or treatment or surgery. So something like lupus is something that is an autoimmune disease that you'll have for the rest of your life. So it's something that you're dealing with every single day, and not something that is short-term or acute.
Okay, and I want to go back specifically over some of the chronic diseases that you mentioned afflict African Americans, but I just got to keep asking you about these terms so that we understand. So when you say autoimmune, for folks who may be unfamiliar, and I've seen some stuff on Facebook, people asking what that means as well. What is an autoimmune disease?
It's a disease that it attacks the body. So it's when your healthy blood cells are doing what they normally do when you're sick, but to healthy organs or healthy skin tissue. So it's basically your body overcompensating in its work, and then therefore harming your body's organs or skin, topically or internally.
You do such a wonderful job of explaining all this stuff. Thank you.
Yeah.
So now I want to go back over some of those chronic diseases that you were talking about. And you named a number of them, and we got time, and that's what this show is for. So you could pick one. I hate to do it like that when you say there's so many. Pick one. Pick and choose which chronic disease afflicts Black African Americans. But pick one, and we'll start with that one. Not that it's necessarily in the order of which it does the most damage, but you mentioned a couple, so you decide where you would like to start.
So my main work is working in HIV and AIDS. And then we have other program coordinators for the chronic disease.
Okay.
So I guess I could start by answering questions about HIV.
Okay. Well, we can do that too. And let's give folks a little bit, again, background information on how long you've existed, how you came to be, how your organization came to be, and a little history into art.
Okay. So we came to be in 2002. We were founded by the current executive director, Mary Diggs Hobson, and her son, who has passed away from AIDS-related illnesses, and also kidney disease, Reginald Diggs. And it just started out of a need to educate the African American community around specifically HIV. And from there, we've expanded a lot of our programs and a lot of our educational tools, but a lot of our work is around educating the community, but also educating healthcare providers as well.
And so You know, you don't hear about HIV/AIDS. There was a point when you heard about it quite often. Now, by the same point, does this mean that there is a change? Has there been a change in behavior that has resulted, in a reduction in HIV? And how is that translated in the Black community?
Yeah, I think there has been a change in behavior. I think that condom use has been advocated for, especially since the late 80s. And there's also medicines out there like PrEP, which prevents the spread of HIV. It can protect you from HIV if you're not diagnosed and you're having relationships with people who are living with HIV. It is a pill that prevents it if you take it regularly. But I also think that a lot of that, because of the excessive information we've gotten since the 80s around HIV, that a lot of people think that they're not at risk for it. And so I think there is a change of behavior, but I also just think that there's a lack of knowledge and understanding that this is still a prevalent issue for African Americans.
And specifically for the African American community, have those behavior changes impacted the Black community across the board, whether it be, whether it's using protection or needles or the number of ways that you that in the Black community?
Yeah, I think that our behavior has changed. I think that we're still, at risk, because especially if you look at it in terms of sexual relationships, a lot of African Americans tend to have sexual relationships with people in their community. Well, everyone does, but people in their community. And since we have such a small community, especially in Seattle, it just increases the risk of STIs and HIV. So I think that our behavior has become safer, but I also think that we are still, at risk for doing these, for obtaining STIs.
And numbers don't always tell the story, but what are some of the numbers, if you have them, locally, in relation that you can share with us about how HIV/AIDS impacts the local community, maybe, or the national community, whatever you may have access to?
I don't have access to numbers, but African Americans tend to be the last to get checked, and also tend to stall as far as entering into treatment to continue through the continuum of care, which is, getting on antiretroviral medication. What
would you like to say? And I'm going to bring somebody in. If you can stay, you can. I know you may have to go. But what would you like to say right now to those who are listening in regards to very important messages? And I know that there are several of them, but it's just something that you would like to share to people that are listening right now on behalf of Arthur.
I would say continue to practice safe sex behaviors, continue to be proactive in taking care of yourself and your health care, as far as exercising and eating right, and going to your physician regularly for checkups, and just making sure you're on top of your health. I think that as African Americans, we don't put enough emphasis on prevention, and we have a lot of information about treatment, and I just think it's really important to take care of yourself before you get to the place where you are being diagnosed with something.
All right, thank you. Hang around if you can, and I want to get a couple more people up here. Go ahead and have a seat. And you're listening to RainierAvenueRadio.World. This is our special program on health. It's Health Night, and we're celebrating Black History Month by sharing information with you about how you can keep yourself healthy, about what health is. And again, we're taking a kind of a holistic approach to what that means. And Tamikia, why don't you come on up here? And we'll talk for a little while, and we'll talk again later. But I want to, get everybody up here so they can know who we've got in here. And so why don't we start with you introducing yourself and telling us, what you do, your business, and yeah.
My name is Tamikia Jones. I'm a licensed massage therapist, but I call myself a healer just because I know some massage therapists are massage therapists, and that's their focus on just making sure you're okay. As far as myself and calling myself a healer and being a massage therapist, my focus is to make sure that you are well-roundedly healed. And so that covers different spectrums when it comes to my practice. So kind of just to give you like a broad spectrum. So I deal with healing of your body. I also deal with healing of energy, which is also in dealing with your body. And I also deal with spiritual healing. I'm not the spiritual healer, but I have a tarot reader who comes to the shop twice a month so that you can get those spiritual attunements with people. So I kind of cover healing.
Okay. Massage.
Several different ways. Yes.
Yeah. Let's what does that mean? Let's talk about that and the benefits of it. And you say several different ways. So again, we have some time,
Yeah.
and there are different ways that you can be, and different reasons why you do. But you know all of this. So just go ahead and share with our audience.
It depends. So some people go to massage for the spa, and that's great. A little scientific fact for you guys out there: 1 hour of massage will actually equivocate to 8 hours of sleep. So if you get one massage a week and you've been missing out on some sleep, you'll actually be able to account for like 8 hours of that. Your body will have the rest equivalent to 8 hours of sleep. There are those of us who deal in that aspect of it. There are those of us who deal with massage as far as like doing energy work, where we kind of touch you, but we deal on getting like your chakras aligned and making sure that your energy is balanced in that way. And then there are folks like me who.
What are my chakras?
What are your chakras? Oh, geez, Tony. Okay, there are actually multiple chakras, but there are 7 main chakras that people deal with. So you have your crown chakra, your solar plexus chakra, your throat chakra, your third eye, your root chakra. You guys are gonna have to forgive me because I really cannot think of the other 2, but they are in accordance with the rainbow.
Why do they need to be aligned?
Well, why does your car tires need to be aligned? It's really that simple of a question. When you drive down the street, your tires have to be aligned so that you can drive straight. Your energy should be aligned so that you can function properly. Let's say, what's a good example? Let's say you've had a day like today where it started off beautiful and it was sunny, right? You were in a good mood when it was sunny, right? And then this turned to gray like it did, and all of a sudden you were in a bad mood, right? And you don't really.
I was still in a good mood.
Well, some people are influenced by the weather. So, but just hypothetically, so you were in a great mood, right? No, it's okay. So like you turned into like kind of a bad mood, and you kind of can't figure out why, and everything just is working that way. Well, in some sense, you could be like, well, if I listen to my favorite song, that'll put me in a great mood, or if I listen to my favorite Rainier Avenue radio station, that puts me in a great mood, right? Those things can put you in a mood. Well, sometimes those things don't work, and you need a smell or a certain frequency that will put everything in sync so that your day can actually be what it's supposed to be. So
wonderful explanation. So let's talk more specifically now about massage therapy.
Okay.
And what that does. I think people think generally my back hurts. Let me get my back rubbed, or your shoulders, or something like that. People know what massage is.
They know what it is, but they don't understand the health benefits.
At the end of the day, it feels good,
right? And
you feel better,
right?
But what does it do? What does it provide to the muscles? What are you looking for when you're giving a massage?
It's more than the muscles. And I think that's where the problem comes in with my profession, is everybody just thinks we're here to relax your muscles. It's much deeper than that. So again, I don't work in spa. I work specifically in chiropractic, auto accident, sports injury, work injury, because your body is injured every day. Every day you get out of bed to step out of your bed, you've probably injured your body because you didn't get out of bed the right way. You just got up and you didn't were not mindful of how you got up. So in that case, when it comes to me as a massage therapist, usually what happens is I get a phone call, just like you said, oh, my back hurts. And then I ask a question, well, where does your back hurt? How does it hurt? What did you do? What motions were you doing when it hurt? Were you just waking up, or did you try to sit out of bed? Because all of those things are key into what is going on with the body. And sometimes it actually has absolutely nothing to do with the muscles. It could be your brain, realistically, like, because everybody thinks like, it's so complicated to try to put this in words. When you think of massage, you go, because we are touching you, it has to be muscular. But sometimes because I'm touching you, it does not mean I'm actually relieving the muscular symptom. I'm actually alleviating what's going on in the brain, because the body is connected every which way: lymphatic, nerves, muscles, skeletal. So I'm not just working your muscles, I'm working your nerves. I'm working with your skeletal system. I'm working with your lymphatic system. So it's a little bit deeper than just the muscles.
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out. So tell me what it is.
Massage, for general purposes, the greatest thing about massage, or the health benefits of it, is that it is an overall repair, essentially. It can have multiple effects. That's why it's such a broad spectrum as far as like energy or spa, or because when you come, so let's see. Sorry, guys. It's harder to talk about what you do when you just love to do it and you just do it. When the body is hurt, it has a natural response. It's also like fight or flight. So either you say, I don't want anybody to see me, or I go to the doctor and I need that quick pain pill, depending on who you are. When you come to a massage therapist and you say, my back hurts, the massage therapist looks at the whole piece of the body. We don't just look at the muscle. We don't go, okay, that's your back. We go, okay, well, I hear that it's your back, but did you notice you might be sleeping a certain way? Or did you notice that when you're sitting at your desk, you lean to the right more often than you do and you put your hand there? And so when you start thinking of those things, all of those things are connected with the body. And again, it's deeper than just muscular.
So tell me what you do. If somebody was being massaged, what
I can't tell you what I would do, because everybody's different. Everybody's body is different. And for me as a therapist to tell you that I do the same thing on everybody would be
well, I guess what I'm asking,
yeah,
for people who are listening, if there are things that you would say, this is a particular thing, this is the way I would treat it, this is how massage could be a benefit to you.
Okay. If you have a headache or a migraine, I would be able to treat your headache or migraine with massage via several different techniques of either a craniosacral, rubbing your head, or other essential holistic things like using lavender and ice to accompany what's going on with the body. If you were coming to me and say that you're having a hard time breathing, then I would do some type of work involving in your chest and seeing what's going on with your chest and back. It's all different as far as exactly what I would be treating you for, just because not everybody's body is the same. You could tell me you have a backache, and it could be because you have not drank enough water today. Literally, that it's kind of one of those things. So we try to work through and see what we find to help you have a better living, a better existence. That's what I feel like massage's purpose is to give you a better day-to-day existence. Some people go to the gym. Well, after the gym, you should come get a massage. Some people do yoga. After yoga, come get a massage. It still gives you better day-to-day living. And even if you do none of that, go get a massage once a week. See how much different your life is in general, how much different your body feels just from doing that. Massage helps you improve the quality of life.
All right. Well, thank you. We're going to talk to you. Don't go anywhere. Go ahead, have a seat, but we're going to bring you back up here. Thank you. I would like to bring up Mr. Mark Bryant. How you doing, my man? Again, you're listening to RainierAvenueRadio.World. This is our special health show, taking a look at how the varieties of ways health impacts your life. Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Okay.
And how's everyone else? All right, there you go.
Okay. Same routine. tell us who you are and kind of what you do.
My name is Mark Bryant. I'm a fitness expert. I've been in the fitness industry for over 30 years. This year, believe it or not, I'll be 60. That's okay. Yeah. And I do all forms of exercise, and basically speaking of exercises. And I teach the teenagers, the kids, I teach seniors. I've been teaching senior fitness for about 13 years now. I'm still doing that. I travel around the different senior housing and also teach where they live. So that's a big, big plus for me because they need that exercise and they have to be. It's a special program I use for seniors. So I'm really in love with fitness. I've been loving fitness since the age of 12. That's my main thing. I don't know if I should say this about Tony's here, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm really not too much into sports, like ball sports. Bad thing to say, but I really do. My passion, my calling was fitness at age 12, and I really, really love doing that and helping people. And back in New York, where I was born and raised, that's what really kept me on the up and up. You know, I had a really tough upbringing, and so that kept me out of trouble and gave me a positive road to look for. And I really appreciate that insight that was given to me by the Lord above.
So what does that mean? Fitness expert, what exercise?
Okay, well, what it means when I say fitness expert, it encompasses a lot of things. One, the physical movements of exercise, and then also having a broad range of physiology, kinesiology, anatomy, and I use the anatomy because when I teach exercise to people, I don't just teach the physical movement. I think teaching the physical movement without deep explanation is a waste of time. So if I'm going to teach you how to do a bicep curl or a bench press with a bar or whatever, I want to explain to you about the muscles of the body, how to set yourself up properly in the right biomechanics in the right position so you can move and move safely. So that's what draws me to teach about fitness. I don't just have a person do exercise. I educate them at the same time about their body and about the exercise they're performing.
Okay, so explain what that means. You know, you said body mechanics, and
yes.
and why is all that? Why does that all matter?
It matters a great deal. Good question. So, for instance, if I have a person do a squat, so basically squatting, in gyms we call it squat. Other places you do it all the time. You're sitting in a chair. That's a squat. Just so you can get an idea. So when we sit down in a chair, you take this here, for instance. I'm gonna turn it this way. So when you sit down in the chair, you don't sit down and your knees go forward. Your rear end is never going to touch the chair. That's not a good squat. So speaking of biomechanics, now I'm going to get them in the right position. I want you now press your hips out to the rear, lean slightly forward, and then sit. And that'll be the way to do it, and the same way of getting up. So that's how you would do a squat. And the reason why we do that, this is a little touchy. They say when the knees go above the toes, over the toes is bad, okay? It's not really bad when the knees go over the toes because, for number one, your knees really are not going to go over the toes. Now, listen to this closely. This is interesting. When I bend my knees like so, you're looking at my knees. But what's really making my shin bone, my tibia bone move, is the talus bone here, the ankle bone. That's what's making me do what is known as the dorsiflexion. You clearly understand that. That's what's going on with the dorsiflexion. For you, when you flex your toes, when you bend your foot back like this, that's dorsiflexion. So it's the same thing when you're moving from the ankle first. Your knee is safe. We're just trying to get you to do the proper mechanics of sitting down, pushing hips back to the rear. That'll be a form of biomechanics. And that just goes on with many other exercises we teach you to get in proper alignment. When it comes to seniors, we want to really make sure they're doing biomechanics correctly because the fact they may have osteopenia or osteoporosis, simply meaning a deterioration, a weakness in the bones. So your bones become brittle, and you got to be very careful with that. So when it comes to working with seniors, you want to be extremely careful with biomechanics and get them to do it right, so they don't risk a part about getting fractured, the bone fracture. That's very, very important. So I'm hoping I can get you to understand what biomechanics means.
And then I think for those of you who can watch, then you see what's going on here.
Right.
But man, you're making it seem like it takes a lot to sit down and get back up.
Well, it doesn't. No. But hey, no. But but listen to this. This is good. Very interesting. I like to use the squatting analogy because here's the deal. As I said, it's nothing more than sitting down. Now, I teach at many clubs. So I'm down here at Columbia City Fitness, and I have a group of seniors, right? And they're in their 80s, mid-80s like this. And I say, okay, guys, we're going to do a squat. I never done a squat. Let me tell you something. You didn't think about doing it, but you've been doing it as a kid. So all of a sudden I say, sit in that chair. Just sit in the chair. They sit in the chair, stand back up. Tell me what you did. Oh, I sat down. You squatted. Don't let the word fool you. Don't let it trick you. Don't let it get you nervous. It's a word. The only thing difference of that movement is just the word.
All right, and so the value of knowing what you're doing when you're doing these things, explain that, again, instructing people on how to do exercises as opposed to doing them incorrectly. What is the value associated with it?
Well, here it is. The value is like this. When a person can exercise not only correctly, but safely, when a person can exercise safely, when a person can exercise correctly, it first of all, it promotes their health. They love it. They continue to do it. They won't have a negative thought about exercise, and they will want to do it without being told to do it all the time. It'll become a part of their life, and that's exactly what we want. So they're going to get gratification out of, wow, I can do this and not get hurt. And by the way, you don't have to do a whole lot. When you go to the gym, it's not about picking up heavy weights and all this high intensity stuff. Just go and do a little bit at a time and just get yourself used to it and make yourself feel good about it. And then the gratification on my part, hey, look, you're able to do it and you're happy about it. So it really comes down to feeling good about yourself and say, I'm going to get up and take care of myself. In the gym, just like massage, just like nutrition, it all goes hand in hand. It's that whole chain of connections. And when you can make that work as a whole, that's what we are after. We meaning the fitness professionals.
All right. I'm going to have you come back. And
All
we're
right
going to
now.
talk some more. And it's probably not a big deal to you to do it, but I think, man, there really is a benefit for those who can see what's going on.
Yes.
To and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but just to show us.
Put me on it.
Okay. To show us how to do a few things so that we can turn things that we do every day into useful exercise.
Well, you know what? When I come back, I'll do just that. Meantime, you practice that squat. Thank you, Tony.
All right, my man. Thank you, sir. You know what? Somebody just came in. I have. What's up, Mr. Dupree? Come on up here, man. What's up? What's up, Rick?
It's cold out. I'm trying to dress warm. Oh, got me on camera, and what's going on?
Well, man, we said we would do 20 events in 28 days, and this is the 20th.
This is the 20th. Yeah, celebrating Black History Month, celebrating us. All right, my brother. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So again, man, we are RainierAvenueRadio.World, and again, this is just part of a number of things that we do. And this has been important, and this opportunity to celebrate Black History Month in a very diverse way. I know is important to you as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I think one of the things that I would want our listeners and those that are on, is it live Facebook? See, I'm not on social media, so we're live Facebook.
Yeah, so again, we're on our streaming radio show as we normally are.
Right.
And you can catch us on the TuneIn app as well in here, but you can also catch us on our Facebook page, which is what a lot of people have been doing. We added that.
Okay.
We added that recently.
Yeah.
We didn't really tell a lot of people.
Yeah.
But for those, if you don't know,
now you know. So what I was gonna say, I think it's important people understand. So our history together in not only growing up and playing football down at Rainier Playfield, but in radio as well, and what your leadership and what Rainier Avenue Radio is doing, very, very unique in the sense that most radio stations are going to have a particular focus. They have a particular demographic that they're going after, and Rainier Avenue Radio is a media outlet that is focused on the community. It's for the community, by the community, and giving individuals in the community an opportunity. And so when you talk about what we've done over this past month and these 20 days, is pretty incredible. And the diverse programming that we offer, from music to shows in different languages to children's shows to talk shows, is just incredible. And again, representing this community and trying to educate. And again, from the community perspective, so important. So yeah, I just am honored to be a part of the team here. And certainly, if you like sports, check us out. We're going to be giving you a lot this weekend, starting Thursday down in Tacoma. But again, it's an indication.
I'm going to give you the room to do that. We do a lot of things on here. So, man, as sports director,
okay.
Talk
What do we
about
do?
us, because we just finished talking about, fitness.
Yeah.
So just talk about our sports department.
So we're excited to have Mark Bryant join us, and Mark will be doing a show, and we call it the fitness corner, right? Yeah, I know. Come on, we came up with the name of the fitness corner, and Mark Bryant, though, all kidding aside, a fitness expert, and you'll get a taste of that a little bit later as he demonstrates how to do exercises properly, and an exercise that you're not going to hurt yourself. And as you get older, there are things that we need to know. I can't do at 55. I can't do what I used to do at 25. That's right. I am 55. I know I'm looking good for that. But anyway, with that said, Mark will be starting a show to be a weekly half-hour show, and we hope as it gains popularity and he feels more and more comfortable that it will expand into maybe more than that. But that'll give you fitness tips and just things about health and fitness, and what are things that you want to look for as you go into a gym, as you're looking for a trainer, as you're doing things on your own. So that's really important. Seattle Sports Weekly with Masvita, and just a weekly show that's going to give you kind of update on what's happening in sports. And Masvita is going to be in the locker rooms with the Seahawks, the Mariners, the Huskies. He's going to give you just some great insight, and that's a wonderful show. Check him out, Masvita, a long time Seattle resident, and so glad to have him on the team. Lidline Sports, Granville Emerson and Renault Peppy Bean, and they broadcast live, and those guys are all over the place with any sport, anything that's happening. They are telling you about it, and you're getting their perspective. So a lot of fun. Those guys have a lot of fun. Grew up with both of them. Paul Schneiderman does sports and stuff. So Paul gives you a different look at sports. And from a lot of times from a business standpoint, from a legal standpoint, Paul, an attorney by trade, and so you're going to get a different side of sports. And whether it be with some politicians, whether it be looking at the Sonics, and we hope that the Sonics come back, Paul is your guy for that. And then I host a show called One-on-One with Dupe, and it is a weekly one-on-one interview show. And so I wanted to create a show that really wasn't targeting the kind of current events and what was going on and the scuttlebutt, but it's really a positive show. Mark was a guest we had on. I think the show aired last week, and just had a lot of fun, but learned a lot about Mark, where he grew up, what motivates him, and that's something that's really important. I want to go and really get to know the guest and give you an opportunity to find out something about the guest that you don't know. We will be on One-on-One with Dupe. We will be featuring a number of the 2018 Hall of Fame inductees into the Seattle Public Schools Metro League Hall of Fame. And we started that off with Tara Davis, so she will be the first inductee that we highlight. We'll also have Bruce Harrell, Terry Metcalf, and so that'll be a lot of fun, as well as others. Also, we'll bring you a special March Madness show, which deviates a little bit from the one-on-one with Dupe format, but it's going to be with Percy Allen, sports writer with the Seattle Times, Donald Watts, and probably Dave Dupree, former sports writer with USA Today. And we will talk about the NC2A and the one and done, and all that's going on with the NC2A. A lot of lawsuits out there, a lot of things going on, and want to talk to those guys about what is the NC2A's responsibility to these young brothers. And in my opinion, and it's interesting because it has gone 180 degrees. I used to be a proponent that now they need to be in college, they need to get their degree and what have you. But the bottom line is, college is to prepare you for a professional job. And if that professional job happens to be professional sports and you're making millions, why should you stay in there for 3-4 years when you can go out? So, but then with that said, what is the NC2A? What is their responsibility to get these athletes ready for what they're going to face? So things like financial literacy, how to deal with the media, how to deal with all these people coming at you. So we'll discuss that and more with those guys. So those are just some things coming up on One-on-One with Dupe. getting back to the health and fitness, I will say this, that's really important. I make a joke at my age and what have you, but it's really, really important, especially as African-American men. African-American men do not like to go to the doctor. And I don't know why, because early detection will save your life. And I have a brother that's a doctor, and so it's really convenient, because if something's going on, I get on the phone, yo, bro, what's up? But again, early detection can save your life. And so oftentimes, we're like, well, I don't want to know. Well, what you don't know could kill you. And so I just want to, from a personal standpoint, but also encourage brothers, we gotta change our attitude toward doctors and going in. I mean, for example, they're in, we get a certain age and say, okay, well, we've got to start getting tested for prostate cancer, colonoscopies, things of that nature, which are not a lot of fun. But again, if you are tested early, if you are having regular checkups with the doctor, that also is including dental checkups as well. So you talk about health and fitness; those are all things that are really, really important for us, as not only as all individuals, but I'm targeting Black men in particular, because for some reason we got this fear of going to a doctor. Let me tell you something: if I'm sick, I want to know, okay? Because the earlier you find out, the better chance you have of overcoming whatever that is. So anyway, kind of diverge a little bit from our sports programming, but that is a little bit about what we're doing from a sports related standpoint here on Rainier Avenue Radio. We also have been bringing you, and Tony's done a phenomenal job of forging a partnership with the WIAA Metro League in particular. Big thanks to Eric McCurdy, Tara Davis, Pat McCarthy, and the staff down there at the Metro League office. So we'll broadcast live starting Thursday. We'll get the schedule out to you, but the both 3A and 4A. John Miller, Casey Johnson, thank you, at the WIAA. And so we will start Thursday, and we will bring you live coverage of both AAA and 4A boys and girls games going on live down at the Tacoma Dome. So it'll be a lot of fun. Check us out there. So if you cannot make it down there, tune in. Again, the TuneIn app, RainierAvenueRadio.World. We'll have pictures there, I believe. We'll be on Facebook Live, so you can see some of the action going on. And that will be going on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, all down at the Tacoma Dome. So that's just a little bit about what we have going on in the sports world here at Rainier Avenue Radio. So where do we go from here, Tony? We've got we're talking health and fitness, and we've talked a little bit about nutrition, I'm sure. But where are you going? What else do we have going on this evening here? You're the man. You running the show, baby. I just came in the door. You put up. So anyway, but and I will go back, and yes, we have a special guest that has just come in the door. We'll let her get settled, and she would join. But I do want to, if it's okay, tell a story about.
Now, see, I was over there.
I know. Well, I'm going to tell you the story. I'm going to tell you and you the story now. Right. So Bridgette Hempstead is with the Cierra sisters, and gosh, I want to say it was probably 15, 20 years. I can't remember. Maybe 15 years we met, and I was actually employed with the city of Seattle, and Bridgette and Sandra Evans asked me if I would be a speaker at a MLK Day event. And that's where we initially met, and then found out Bridgette's story, Cierra's sisters. And I'm not going to tell her story. I will just say this. It is one of the most inspirational stories that I have heard. And when I say inspirational in the sense of someone who has taken control of some things that have happened to her, and not only has focused on her health, but has used it as a vehicle to help others. And so just an incredible, incredible story. And I've been talking to her about this a lot. I said, we need to sit down and get your story. You know.
Something amazing? Mm-hmm. Bridgette Hempstead is our keynote speaker.
Yes, I know. And I was giving her a chance to come in and say, we talked the other day. She said, well, Tony and I haven't talked. I said, well, here's the plan. He wants you as the keynote speaker, so be ready. So, I said, I got you, man. But many of you know, and I mentioned him a moment ago, my brother David Dupree was an award-winning sports reporter for Washington Post and the USA Today, now retired. And he wrote a a novel that is, I believe, turned into a screenplay and what have you, and he's doing his thing in retirement. But I actually have been talking to him about getting together and wanting to put Bridgette's story in writing, whether it be in book form, whether it be a play, movie, whatever the case may be, because it is such a tremendous story. I will say this, not to take away thunder, but her attitude of when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and as I'm remembering the story, saying that, she kind of felt sorry for herself for a few days, and then it was like, okay, we're going to war here. And one of the things that was so encouraging is she found out that there wasn't a lot of information out there for African American women.
Let's let her tell.
Yeah, and her story. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right, I'll shut up and let her. Yeah. But it's just so inspirational, and a story that needs to be told, over and over again, because it is an inspiration.
All right. So thank you, Rick.
Yes, sir.
My
You're
man.
welcome. Thank you.
We're going to have more conversation. We're going to get Bridgette up here from Cierra Sisters, and also Infinity is here. Dennis Weaver is here with Change Your Food, Change Your Life. I had mentioned that this was sponsored by POCAAN, who, again, once we said we were doing a health night, they right away said, how can we be involved? What can we do? And so we really appreciate that. And they've been such a big part of our community. So before we go any further, let's get POCAAN up in the house. Good to see you again, bro.
Always a pleasure.
So you know the routine.
Yep.
Tell us who you are. Tell us about your organization.
Okay, I'm Preston Credit, and I'm with POCAAN. We've been in existence for 30 years. My first introduction to POCAAN.
How many years?
30 years.
30 years.
We're going on 31 at the end of this year.
Wow.
So, yeah. And my introduction to POCAAN was when I was like 10 or 11 years old, going to school in the Central District. They had a comic book that was out, and they were passing out condoms to the kids. And that was our first introduction. I remember being funny that we thought they were balloons. We didn't know what they were. And since we were kids, we didn't even know the epidemic about the AIDS as it is now. But what they did was introduce it to us enough to where we started seeing some of our friends' parents dying. We seen some of our own family members passing away from the disease. And so it made that awareness that much more serious, and as POCAAN continues to grow, we still focus on AIDS. That's our primary goal. For people who don't know, that's People of Color Against AIDS Network. Now we just use the acronym POCAAN, so people will start to just know our name for us and who we are, and just recognize us in the community. And we have a great team of people who work on a myriad of many different things. I'm actually part of a program that works with kids, and I work with adults, and we deal with health, but we deal with it on more levels than just your physical health. We also want to keep you mentally healthy. If you have substance abuse issues, we want to support you with that and help you in your recovery and your sobriety. So POCAAN has grown, don't want to use the word spread, but we have grown so much in the last few years that we cover everything now. We even help people with housing. We help people who deal with substance abuse issues, recidivism, quite a few things that we do at POCAAN. But it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with Mr. Tony and all you other folks that's here too representing, because it's going to take all of us to really bring some unity to each other when it comes to our healthcare. It's going to take all of us, and that's why we're here.
Okay, so here's the thing, because I want you to, this is the opportunity for us to find out about that growth, because we're proud of you. And you know what I'm saying? That's a good thing, bro. And so we're not going to push that on the back burner. Okay. All right. Let's talk about that growth so that it is something that is aware, just like when you were getting those condom balloons, right, and it created an awareness for you that you weren't. So let's talk about that growth. Let's talk about why you've expanded, why you have extended services, and why you've seen that, okay, we can impact here, but let's impact here. Let's impact here. Right. We can be more than we thought we were.
And that's the whole inspiration behind the growth. Because when we actually started, it was a lack of interest in our Black healthcare and our community when we were dealing with severe sickness when it came to the AIDS disease. What POCAAN is trying to do is get rid of the stigma of AIDS. There's a lot of people who's scared to get health care. There's a lot of people who's scared to even tell their story. There's a lot of people scared to even let their relatives know. And that kept that kept it alive in our community until we started becoming aware of it and we started supporting people who were going through it. So where that went from was after several years of just really focusing on AIDS, we started thinking, okay, we need support systems in place for people who are dealing with this, not only for the people who are suffering from AIDS, but also their family and also our communities. And also we needed somebody to advocate for us in the healthcare industry because we got pushed to the back burner once again. We didn't have superstar white money, so we didn't get treatment. You know, we were looked at like the scourge of the earth for a minute, you know, and we started to feel that way, the people who were dealing with the issue, you know. And so what POCAAN wanted to do was make people feel comfortable in their skin, regardless of what this problem was they were facing. That's where we, over the years, we have other programs like Connect To, which if a person is diagnosed with the AIDS, we have automatic counseling for them. We don't only counsel them, we help them get into a hospital. We help them get a primary care doctor. We help them afford their medicines. And we actually pick them up and take them to their appointments so they have somebody to be comfortable with, you know. In addition to that program, we have CURB, which is basically for youth from 18 up to age 30 that live from the Rainier Beach area pretty much up to here. What we do with them is like some of the young youth right now, they kind of need some mentorship. So what we do is we kind of help give them some guidance and support. If they have substance abuse issues, once again, we'll work with that. And just to throw that out there, everything that POCAAN does isn't just simply based around AIDS anymore. It's also about building a healthy community. So that's working with the youth and working with our elders. Like I said, I work with CURB, that's from 18 to 30, but then I work with the GOTS program, Get Off the Streets, which is for people 55 to 30. Diverse population. Very, 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 very different set of groups too. You have people who have maybe been drug addicted for 20 years of their life, 30 years of their life. I might have a kid who's not addicted. He just might have a broken home situation, or maybe their parents is addicted. So we'll try to bridge the gap between those two, you know, since their generations are kind of, you know, a little different during this era. So that's one thing POCAAN does. Another thing that we have is Best Starts for Kids. We don't want to see no kids go into homelessness. So if a person was facing eviction or something of that nature, they could contact us and we could try to help stop the eviction. For some people who have went through the evictions, it's real expensive to get them out, but we try to help them out too. You know, and we went from very small funding, and we still got small funding, but we figured out how to get the money that we need to help our people. You know, and we don't discriminate. A big group. And the big group of the population that we serve is also the Latino community, because one of the fastest, the AIDS is spreading fastest in Latino men and Black men who are having sex with each other. And right now, there's no stigma. We just want them to be safe too, so that the rest of our community can support them and be behind them and not putting that stigma back on them. So right now, we're really reaching out to them. We're trying to get the PrEP and the PEP pill out, and they had a little explanation about that. The PrEP is if I already had HIV, I could take this pill on a regimen regularly every day, and I won't pass it on to my partner because it gets the cells down to such a low AIDS count, you know. So you can still engage in a relationship with your partner. Now, PEP, on the other hand, if you taking this regularly, you might not ever even catch HIV, even if someone else had it, you see. So it's just different ways to protect yourself. Right now, it's really, really expensive. So, you know, we have limited access to it compared to some of our counterparts in our communities, you know, mainly people that are non-Black or non-Latino. So we're trying to make sure that, and there's a lot of companies like AstraZeneca and places like that who are willing to help us make this happen. And we still very much preach prevention. You know, think before you make that action. You know, think about your health first. You know, be aware of what your partner's involved in. Talk to your partner. You know, that's another area that we're trying to work in with POCAAN too, is helping people establish healthy relationships. So like, as we talk about health, there's so many different aspects of health, and that's what we're trying to focus on. We want a whole healthy community, touching on every level.
And I'm proud to say this is the sponsor of Health Night.
Thank y'all.
POCAAN.
It wouldn't be possible without you.
POCAAN.
Rainier Avenue.
And you are located right on Rainier Avenue.
Yeah, we're neighbors. We're right down the street.
So you know the deal. If we're going to be Rainier Avenue Radio, we have to represent.
Thank you. And you've been doing it for years. So I'm glad to be a part of it all.
Okay, we're going to come back and talk to you a little bit later. Just wanted to make sure, again, our sponsor, POCAAN. Thank you.
Thank you all.
So what I want to do right now, again, we have a couple more folks who are here, but this is where I would like to bring up our keynote speaker for this Health Night, our celebration of Black History Month, our 20th event in 28 days. And I'm going to leave so that our keynote speaker can come up here and give a speech. And she is going to talk to you about, among other things, health disparities and how that impacts the African-American community. And you will share your story with us about how you started Cierra Sisters and why you started Cierra Sisters, and then pretty much anything you want to talk about. All right. Is all good. Thank you, Tony. So, co-founder of Cierra Sisters, Bridgette Hempstead. Founder. Bridgette Hempstead.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for putting this on. This is pretty amazing to have something in the middle of the week, and we're here. We're here to make a difference in the community, and having you all here in the studio, you care about what's going on in our community. So like Tony said, I'm Bridgette Hempstead, the founder of Cierra Sisters, and we actually just celebrated. Cierra Sisters has been around now for 22 years. We had our anniversary on, thank you, February the 23rd is the Founders Day, and February 21st is my birthday. And actually, Preston and I share the same birthday. And so I'm proud to say that I'm 57 years old, and I am a 22-year, 3-time breast cancer survivor. Yes. I was diagnosed on my 35th birthday. And when I was diagnosed, the doctors told me that prior to the diagnosis, I wanted to get a mammogram. And my doctor said, well, come in and we'll sit down and we'll talk about it. We'll do an exam. And so the doctor did. And she began to give me a laundry list of reasons why I did not need to have a mammogram. And she said, for one, your age. The last reason she gave me, she said, you're African American and it's not something that you need to worry about. And so I insisted on getting a mammogram, and she begrudgingly gave it to me. And so when I went in to go get that exam, they found out that I did have breast cancer and I needed to see a surgeon right away. So that same doctor called and apologized and said, you know what, I really apologize for telling you that you didn't need to get a mammogram, because this is what I was taught in school. So this was 22 years ago, and she was my physician, and she was someone that I should be trusting. But I had to immediately become my own advocate. And that's one of the things that when I was diagnosed, I didn't know that's what I was doing, was advocating for myself. I knew that I had rights as a woman and as a Black woman, that I shouldn't be ignored. And so when I went on and had that, had the mammogram, and then later on I had a mastectomy and reconstruction. But the third day, that's when I said, you know what, I need to call everybody that I know and let them know, do you know breast cancer is real in Black women? And October had just finished. And in October, you saw a sea of white women celebrating their lives. I'm a cancer survivor, and and they were all white. There was nobody who was Black. And so when you heard about it 22 years ago, it's like, wow. If I would have listened to what that doctor said, and she told me Don't worry about getting a mammogram. Come back in 10 years when you're much older. Then I probably wouldn't be here today. And so many of our Black women are told this, is that the lump that you have, it's not anything to worry about. It's probably just water filled or just your hormones, or, I don't know what you're going through emotionally, but whatever is there, it's really not anything to worry about. Well, I want to share a story with you. We had one of our Sierra sisters who was told she had a lump and went to the doctors. And this happened probably maybe a little less than 10 years ago. Well, she went to the doctors and she had this presenting lump, and the doctor told her it's nothing to worry about. It's not breast cancer. So she left being very happy and secure that this is not breast cancer. So then she found out, she went and talked to her cousin who was a Cierra sister. And she says, I have this lump. Come in the bathroom and look at this lump. Well, by that time, the lump had probably tripled in size, and it was the size of an egg. And so she says, you need to go get that checked. And she says, well, the doctor told me that it's not a big deal. There's nothing wrong. She went in and she was diagnosed with late stage breast cancer. And at that time, it was unfortunate because the medications that we have now for breast cancer that is spread, it's not the same. She probably would have lived. But even in that, being diagnosed with late stage cancer, she wasn't given the opportunity to go into a clinical trial. They didn't offer that to her. She was a Black woman. She wasn't a white woman. So she wasn't able to go out and celebrate, I'm a survivor of breast cancer, and run the race. She didn't do that. She died. So my message to our community is, when you feel like there's something wrong in your body, go get checked. If that doctor is not going to check you or they dismiss your concerns, go to another doctor. I don't care if you don't have health insurance, or if you're on Apple Health, or if you're on Medicaid. Begin to learn how to fight for yourself and weave through the system, because it is a system that is set up. Now, there are some wonderful doctors that are out there, and I have found myself with some great physicians, and I have to do a shout out to Seattle Cancer Care Alliance, because that's where I am now. So fast forward through my journey, and it's a long journey because 18 years later, I was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, which had spread to my lungs and my liver. Well, the doctor that I had went to, let me back up. When I went in to find out what was going on with me, I was having issues breathing. The emergency room doctor said, the first doctor said, Bridgette, there is something seriously wrong. She says, I want you to make sure you go in tomorrow, follow up with your doctor, because you need to have this checked out. She says, I'm leaving. And she grabbed me by both of my arms. And she says, I'm leaving. There's going to be another doctor that comes in behind me. Make sure you follow up on what's going on with you. So the next doctor came in. And it was a man, and I had some tests that was done. That doctor said to me, there's nothing wrong. It's just a shadow. I'm going to give you some cough medicine. You take that for 10 days. Don't worry about it. So I left, and I was heavily medicated when I left. So in the morning, I called my doctor and was talking to the nurse, and I said, this was my experience last night, that I talked with 2 doctors. And the first doctor said to make sure that I go in and get tested. And she said, well, that the orders say that you just need to take your medicine and then come and check in 10 days if you're still coughing. I said, no. There was a doctor said I need to follow up in the morning. The nurse went in and dug deeper into my records, and she gasped. And she said, oh my God, the records were erased. And she says, I'm glad that you followed up. So immediately I went and got a biopsy on my lungs, and they found out that it was breast cancer to the lungs. And so then the ball started rolling. So I go in to see this new oncologist, and the oncologist looks at me and she says, well, yes, it's spread to your lungs and it's spread to your liver, and you've got about a year to live and you'll never sing again. This part I don't remember. My oldest daughter was with me, and she said, I jumped off the table and I pointed at the doctor and I said, I don't receive that in the name of Jesus. Amen. So, like I said, I don't remember that. My daughter said, okay, put your clothes on, let's go. So we left. And her and I, we did cry. And beyond that, I said, you know what? I think I must have called her about 3 days later, and I said, oh, Didi, I'm just going to keep on living. And so she took me to Jamaica, and we went sailing in the air. You know, what is that called? Windsurfing, I think that's what it is. Windsailing? Parasailing. That's what I did. I did parasailing. I didn't know I was going parasailing, but she got me on a boat, and she said, oh, I thought we were just going to go ride and hang out, and next thing I know, I'm up in the air, and I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. So after the diagnosis of having it in the lungs and the liver, the doctor said, well, things are going to get so much worse for you before it gets better. And so I said, you know what? I think that we'll make our appointments over the phone. And then several months later, my numbers were getting better, and then there was no signs of it in my liver. And then about 9 months later, I was invited to sing the national anthem at the Seahawks-Cowboys game. And so when that doctor said that you'll never sing again, I haven't stopped singing. I've been singing in other countries, getting ready to go to Zambia next month. And so I'll be presenting and teaching over there. And so this is what it's all about, is that when someone tells you your life is over, either you're going to listen to that person and sit around until you die, or you're going to concentrate on living. The Bible has a scripture, and it says, tomorrow is not promised. But I'm here to tell you that today is my tomorrow that was not promised. So as you continue in this fight, I don't care if it was breast cancer or if it's spread, don't stop living. Because the way that research and the doctors are today, there's some wonderful things that are available. There's some treatments that are available. And, you know, some groups would get mad if I say, you know, they're now treating these diseases like chronic disease. But what else can you say? It's being treated. If one treatment stops, then they go to something else. And my mother had lived with multiple sclerosis for over 60 years. She was the oldest living woman with MS. But she lived each day as, you know what? I'm not begging, I'm betting. So I'm here to tell you, I'm not begging, I'm betting. I'm still here, and I have some work to do. And anytime that you do a work, you need to reproduce yourself. So we have many Cierra sisters out there that is like, you know what? This is what our leader says. And, you know, it humbles me to look at the fact that I am a leader in the community, but I'm humbled because, you know what? They teach me so much. And having the opportunity to be able to give back to our community, not only locally, but nationally and globally. This is what it's all about. So whatever it is that God has called you to do, you got to step up and do it. And you're going to come against the bumps in the road. Racism is real. I deal with racism almost every single day. So fighting is just what I have to do. But I do it with class. I don't have to be, you know, a tyrant. I don't have to cuss nobody out. I can just say what I gotta say, and it is what it is. It is my stamp. And so I speak with not only my own experience. I am educated in what I share. I have a journal that I actually, one of my papers on the SEPS program. SEPS is a Sierra Empowerment Partnership, and it's an educational tool that I developed. It's evidence-based for our community, and the publishing will be probably coming out in about 30 or 60 days. So it's in a medical journal. So I've gone beyond just being a breast cancer survivor, because I'm not just a breast cancer survivor. I'm Bridgette first. I am a mentor, an educator. I'm a writer. You know, I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. I'm a woman. I'm a Black woman. I'm a proud Black woman. So what I would say to you, if you wake up tomorrow and you're depressed and you don't feel like taking a shower, and then that day turns into another day, hear my words. You got something to live for. Concentrate on living. If someone has done you wrong, let it go. If someone says, oh, you're going through this because you're not forgiving, let that go too, because you're going to get a lot of that. Oh, they're going through this because they did something. I don't receive that either. I hear that a lot. Oh, the reason why you have cancer is because you must not be forgiving somebody. It's at the cross. I let it there. So I don't let someone else's convictions or the way that they think that I was diagnosed with cancer was a reason for them to say, you know what, you got cancer because it's something that you did. It's not anything that I did. We live in a very toxic world, and we have to do everything that we can to try to make ourselves healthy. Eating differently, eating healthy, what are you drinking? Those are the things that end up happening, is that we're putting these different things in our body, but that's what's available to us. And so once we find out that the cells in our body are not doing what it's supposed to do, then it's time for us to try to change those things and partner with great doctors and researchers that can make a difference in our lives. So I don't know how much time I have. Is it cut?
No.
Oh, it's not cut.
No.
Oh my goodness, health disparities. One of the issues that we deal with in the Black community is like, oh, this is a health disparity. The disparities are hitting the Black women, but they're hitting the Black family. And disparities meaning that you're diagnosed with more symptoms or more diseases than any other population, and that you're dying from that. And what's interesting enough, and I'll talk about with breast cancer because that's kind of my topic, is that Black women and white women were different. So white women were diagnosed more with breast cancer. Black women were diagnosed less, and Black women were dying more. So it was like this. That didn't make sense. Now we done caught up with the white woman. White women and Black women are diagnosed at the same rate, but the Black women are still dying at an alarming rate. And then you hear, oh, well, that's just the disparities, and the Black woman is not going to the doctors, but you got to hear the real story. It's not that they're not going to the doctors. They're going to the doctors, but they're told something totally different. And then when they're diagnosed, and these are true stories that happen, is that you can get a Black woman and a white woman who's diagnosed with the exact same breast cancer. The Black woman is getting one treatment, the white woman is getting another treatment, and the white woman is surviving and the Black woman isn't. So I'll talk about one of the diseases is HER2, is one of many breast cancers. And so I had two sisters, one was white, one was Black. And so as I'm hearing their stories, I'm like, well, why isn't the Black woman getting Herceptin like the white woman? And the Black woman said, I never heard anything about Herceptin. So, I said, you know what? Then we need to go to another doctor so that you can get the proper treatment. So those are the things that we deal with. So as an educator, and as our organization has grown to have many educators within Sierra Sisters, we are teaching the women, find out what type of breast cancer you have. for the men. Find out what type of prostate cancer or colon cancer or whatever the disease out. Find out what's available, what's the treatment option, what can you do to make some healthy changes for yourself? Are you under surveillance, which means are they watching you? So these are some of the very, very important things and life-saving things that can happen as we move forward in our lives. Our lives is just as important as anyone else. And so when you talk about disparities for men, Black men are dealing with prostate cancer. And so what happens is that depending on what doctor you go to, you can get the most excellent treatment in the world. But if you go to someone and you don't know what to do, you don't know who to ask for, you don't know the questions to ask, then it's time to do the research. So that way, when you go and talk with the doctor, and if you're not liking what he's saying, or if you're unsure, get a second opinion. There's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion. A good doctor would tell you, go get a second opinion. But a doctor who wants to take over your life and control it, he'll say, I'm the best thing you got. No, don't listen to that one. So you need to find someone who's going to partner. We got to get rid of these disparities in our children. And when we talk about asthma and different situations, and then we're talking about mental health, the disparities are great. What's going on, the suicide rate? So there is a lot of disparities that are happening in our Black community that should not happen, in our Latino community, in our underserved community. Why? Economics is a big issue when it comes down to disparities. And just because now we're dealing with institutional racism, not just racism, institutional racism, where a system is set up to make that individual fall if you don't fall in the line of having the money or having the knowledge or the resources. So it's out there. We're here to educate you. We're here to empower you, and we're here to partner with you. This is not a Lone Ranger thing, and this is not the wheel needs to be reinvented. We need to figure out how we can work together so that our community can thrive, survive, and be healthy. We're looking for a healthy Black, underserved, Latino, Asian community right here in the state of Washington. There is no way that we should have as many disparities. We talk about the housing, and I know that wasn't my subject, but the disparities hit every aspect of our lives. And when you don't have the money to fight for the right to have the best health care, we have men and women that end up homeless because now they can't afford the copay for their treatment, or their employer says, you know what? We're going to get rid of that person and we'll hire somebody else who looks like us. And this happens across the board. There's too many of our Sierra sisters that have lost their jobs because they were diagnosed with breast cancer, and their employers made sure that they didn't have a job to come back to. And some women have ended up homeless. And these are true stories. And I should not be able to quote true stories like this in 2018, but it's happening. So we've got to make sure that the powers that be, the policymakers, are truly doing what they need to do for our community. I think that the red tape, they talk about, oh, there's so much red tape. Well, then you know what? We need to get rid of the red tape. The red tape needs to go. Why is there a red tape? I don't understand the red tape. If there's a need, how about meeting the need? If you have the money, the finances, and the power to do it, why are you saying that it is that person's fault that they do not have the economic status to take care of their needs? These are real life issues. And so it must change, and we've got to put the policymakers on notice. We're not going to just sit down and let this happen. We've got some really big issues that are brewing in the White House when it comes down to health care and health equity. And for those who can afford the insurance, they feel very comfortable and cushiony, and they feel like they have a right to this. But you know what? Health care is a right for every human being. We're human beings. We are not below substandards. If we are fighting for the rights of a dog, a cat, animals in the sea, why aren't we fighting that hard for rights for the human beings? So I don't know. Do you know? So I wrote a song, and this was some years ago. It's called Sister Don't You Know, and I'll sing just a little bit of it. And this was because I ran into so many sisters that were sad that they said, you know, I'm not a woman anymore because I've lost my breast, and I'm afraid that I will lose my man or my partner because I no longer look like a woman. Well, having breasts right now, they're option. You can buy them a dime a dozen, right? And so I was very fortunate I made the decision, that was my decision, that I wanted to have breasts after the first time that I had a mastectomy. And so when I woke up, I had reconstruction, and I woke up with a breast. It just looked like the nipple was gone. And so I had implants. And so they had created implants for women that were dealing with breast cancer. And so it's different than going in and getting the enhancements that they have now everywhere. They're like, boobs is everywhere. Woof. And so, but I chose to do that because I heard a story, and it's kind of a funny story. I heard a story where one of the sisters, she went and she did the prosthetic. And so she was a swimmer, and I like to swim too. And so she said, Bridgette, I was in the pool and the doggone prosthetic fell out. And, you know, she's in the pool with men and women. And she said, and then I had to tell everybody, I lost my prosthetic in the pool. So everybody's in the pool splashing around looking for her prosthetic. I said, nope, I'm not going to do that one. So that's why I decided to go get reconstruction. So that way I didn't have to worry about it. And then 12 years later, the implant, it started to lose the water in it. And so then I went back. Well, technology had caught up to me. And so, you know, I don't know if the women in the room, if you have children, you know, you have this little pouch thing down there, you just can't get it. I mean, I couldn't do enough sit-ups to get rid of that pouch. Well, my pouch became my breast. And so technology is amazing. If you want to have breasts, they can give you some breasts. So I wrote a song. It's called Sister Don't You Know. And I'll sing a little bit of it. It's a cappella. And this was to encourage my sisters that said that they no longer felt like a woman. You should always feel like a woman if that's what you want to be, because that's what I was created to be. Bridgette, a Black woman. Sister, don't you know? Sister, don't you know you're a shining star? No matter who they say you are, you've been changed by the blade of the knife. Your body didn't treat you right. That's okay. You can live again. You have the chance to live again. Don't be shy. Take the stars in your hands. Show the world who you are. Your stars are shining through. Sister, don't you know you're a shining star? No matter who they say you are, you've been changed by the blade of the knife. Your body didn't treat you right. That's okay. You can live again. You have the chance to live again. You have the chance to live again. Sister, don't you know? Thank you. So that I would encourage you to join me in the movement and being an advocate, being an educator. Don't let them just tell you anything. Research it, talk to people, talk to Cierra Sisters, but you're never alone. That's why we started Cierra Sisters. Cierra is an African word that means knowing. If you have knowledge, you have the power to fight against the effects of breast cancer. It doesn't matter what stage that it's in. And if your doctor tells you, go home and prepare yourself because you're getting ready to die, we're all gonna die one day. So when you leave, you can choose. I'm gonna leave with a bang, or I'm gonna leave with my head hung down. So one day we all are gonna leave. But guess what? Today I'm here. So I'm living life, I'm educating, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Are you doing what you're supposed to do? And don't let anybody put you on a head trip and tell you, who do they think they are? I think I'm a shining star. You might want to join me.
Our keynote speaker, Ms. Bridgette Hempstead. And thank you.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. And I hope that you're encouraged. Don't ever let someone take your light away from you, because get up every morning, and if you're having some kind of low self-esteem for something that somebody said, look in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm important. I love me. I look good. And if your hair is not right, girl, we got all kind of head wraps, so there's no excuse. Take care of yourself. I love you.
All right. This is RainierAvenueRadio.World. We're celebrating Black History Month. This is Health Night. And again, we're just taking kind of a holistic view of a number of different areas that impact and affect your health. Right now, I want to talk about the stuff that you put in your body. And I have Mr. Dennis Weaver here, who's back again. So I'm not just going to let you come and then not talk about what you do. Change your food, change your life. Come on up here, Dennis. All right.
So happy to be back. So happy to be back. That massage therapy is a whole lot better off for aches and pains and headaches. And if you're lethargic, it's a whole lot better payoff than 5 minutes in front of a doctor and getting a prescription. Because all prescriptions do is suppress the symptoms. She kind of solves it. And the good work of POCAAN in the community, was that a powerful story? And I hope you listen to every word Bridgette said, because changes need to be made. And fitness pays off. You see this guy, Mark? He's 60. We should look that good. But as a precautionary note, you can't exercise off lousy, non-organic, poor food choices, nor can you massage away lousy, non-organic, poor food choices. So my suggestion to fitness and massage therapy and the community, honor yourself by making the organic, good food choice. You'll be a whole lot happier and a whole lot healthier. And last time I was here, I brought a table full of organic, good food treats for the guest speakers and the guests and the studio audience and the Rainier Avenue Radio staff. And the last time I brought a loaf of Dave's Killer Bread, which is the softest, sweetest bread ever since sliced bread, and it's sliced. And at the end, there was no loaf of bread, and Tony B came over and said, do you have another loaf of bread? And I said, geez, I'm very sorry. Unfortunately, it went very quickly. And I saw a little disappointment on his face. So this evening, Tony B gets his personal loaf of Dave's Killer Bread.
All right.
Are you? I learned a long time ago in business, always look after your banker and your radio show host.
Well, tell us a little bit about why you think, what you put in your body makes a difference.
Well, to begin with, organic good foods are your fuel. Organic good foods are the foods your body recognizes as its food. It knows what to do with it, how to use it. Organic good foods are just a very simple combination of good earth, seed, rain, wind, and sun as nature intended, untampered with by man. It's food as food was should be, and has to be. Your very lives depend upon it. Organic good foods give you is your source of vigor and vitality. Organic good foods are life-giving, not life-diminishing. To answer your question directly, you have 40 trillion cells and some 40 trillion little bacteria. Well, you can't see a cell or bacteria. You have to have a ginormous microscope to even catch a glimpse. Your system's balanced on parts per billion, your hormonal system. So you can just imagine you've got 40 trillion cells and 40 trillion bacteria, and each and every cell and each and every bacteria has to receive exactly what it needs to function correctly. Otherwise, you end up with some life's malady. So you can just imagine if you take in any artificial coloring or flavor, or you take in a toxic pesticide residue at a parts per million, you can just imagine what that does to you inside. It tips you upside down and turns you over. Organic good foods are not only pure life-giving foods, organic good foods can be defined by what's not in them. And what's not in organic good foods, but that can be found in non-organic poor foods, is a list about this long. Are you ready? Herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, fumigants, fertilizers, chemicals, additives, preservatives, irradiation, hormones, antibiotics, tranquilizers, veterinarian pharmaceuticals, genetically modified organisms, and last but not least, sewer sludge. Yummy, yummy, yummy. So all those, we spend so much time and interest in talking about how we pollute our water, our land, our air. We don't spend enough time talking about how we risk polluting ourselves by making the non-organic poor food choice.
Well, I had to at least bring you back up here, and you brought another spread again. And what was it? Which show were you on? Because it fits right in the health night, but the show you were on was actually
Education night.
Education night. We were talking about the importance of education and food and health in it. But thanks for coming back again tonight, my man.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And always glad to be here.
And thanks for the break.
And always attempt a level best to make the healthful difference in your life. And again, honor yourself by making the organic good food choice. As we say, and remember, organic good foods are not just raw vegetables and fruits, kale and wheatgrass and bean sprouts. There is an organic everything as on the table. There are cereals and chocolate bars. There's pastas and chips and salsas. There's even a bottle of organic vodka and a honeycrisp apple. So there is an organic everything. So now you have no excuse not to live the organic good food life. And as we say, if you make the organic good food choice from carrots to whiskey and everything in between, you'll live happily ever after.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And we are celebrating Black History Month here. It is Health Night again, the 20th event in 28 days. And again, we're taking a really holistic approach to health and things that you can do to be healthy. And I'd like to ask Infinity to come up. Good to see you. Always a pleasure to see you.
Always a pleasure to see you as well.
Okay. So you've seen what's been going on.
I have.
You know the routine. Tell us who you are and tell us what you do.
Yeah. For those who know me in the music and art scene, they know me as Infinity. I'm Nichelle Alderson. I'm a therapist.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good. I am all that. I'm a therapist. I'm a nutritional therapist. And so I'm on the heels of good information about the food, though I might feel a little bit differently about some of the products that are included in those, but that's not why I'm here. I'm the founder of Infinitely Well. It's a holistic health and wellness coaching and consultation business. I help train other clinicians who are learning to do what I do. I serve only people of color as a therapist, but also as a nutritional therapist and a coach and a trainer. So I focus my business, I'm in private practice. So I'm a small but fast growing private practice, and I work on the individual. So infinitely well to me means that we're well in all ways and all of the things that we do. So you might see me out having fun, you know, playing and having music in my life, because fun is important, but so is what I put into my body and into my mind. So that's the work that I do on an individual basis, me as Nichelle, the therapist. I also run business, so I have a directory for people of color, for practitioners of color who are in the health and wellness business. It's called the POC directory, so that we can find us. It's what I realized, you know, being in a small business owner, it's hard to find us amongst the sea of all of those who don't necessarily look like us. If we want to work with a clinician who we feel like we relate to, we have to sometimes search for pages and pages and pages of everyone else who may have good intentions but may not directly communicate and understand us on that innate level. So the POC directory is there for all of us who are clients, those who are looking for services, but also there for those who are professionals who offer the services.
All right. So you kind of described the big picture of what you do, but let's get into a little more detail. And again, if you feel that you have eating habits that we need to pay attention to, then let's talk about those, because that's why we're here. It's Health Night, and that's why I have your voice here.
Yeah, this is a big issue. So my my route into this field started in pharmacy back when I was 15, 16 years old. And I realized it was an important step for me to truly understand how the body works underneath the hood and how the systems work to make sure that we stay sick. So I started out in pharmacy, but I left that, did a little bit of time in insurance trying to understand like what the number systems and what the number game is like and how that keeps us caught. Then I went on to school to become a clinical social worker and saw all types of, you know, ways that the legal system plays a role in our lives and keeping us from being effective and living happily and healthy lives. That with the financial systems and all of these different systems, right? So what I do now as a nutritional therapist is I look at what keeps us from thriving, what's kept us on throughout all of those systems from doing well, from being well. And food is at the heart of it. And I started to realize that if I really wanted to make change with my clients' lives, especially those who are there to be coached for health and wellness issues, or those who are coming to me with mental health issues and they want support and through counseling, that if I really want to get to the root of it, I've got to address what's underneath the hood. So I went back to school and I studied nutritional therapy. And we're all so different that we just have to honor our bio-individuality and make choices that align with our body's needs. And when we begin to truly understand, be mindful about what are we actually feeling, instead of putting the chemicals into our body, those pharmaceuticals, to, you know, numb the pains that we feel, or to, you know, zone us out long enough that we don't actually have to deal with the anxiety or the depression, so that we don't actually have to do anything about it. We can just continue to medicate ourselves, which makes the systems happy in a lot of ways. It keeps them running and thriving, right? Not us, but the money will keep rolling. And so, you know, being a person in small business, private practice, I only get to work with a person one-on-one. So I'm actually palpating the body. I'm taking time to interview you thoroughly and understand what minerals and vitamins and nutrients your individual body is deficient in, by doing a range of testings, lingual neural testing to actually test nutrients to the tongue, which is a brain wave which is like a barcode for the brain. So it's really personal. It takes time. It's an investment for those who really want their bodies who want to get past just getting by who really want to heal and begin to take control over their lives. And but at the base of it, I'll tell you, sugar is the demon, it's the devil. And there's sugar in everything, and there's a lot of it on that table, I'm sorry. But but it's something that we have to be more and more aware of. When we put things in our body, we can't just mindlessly snack and eat, even if it is organic, because sugar is at the basis of all of our issues: depression, anxiety, cancer, and on and on and on. Diabetes, the things that are actually killing our family members, and then we're grieving as a result of it, right? So there's a huge cyclical, very sick cyclical thing that goes on when we are not being mindful about what goes in our body and not taking steps to alleviate those issues.
What are the types of things that you would recommend? I don't know what to call, maybe fuel. Is that what you're trying to do? Fuel your body as opposed to just eating?
Yeah, well, it's more than anything. It's truly understanding your body, like really getting in tune. You're the only one that's going to be in your body the whole time, and right, and we don't tend to know ourselves well. We've medicated and band-aided ourselves for so long. So it's about getting back to the true foundations of health. Like really understanding, are you really hydrated? Do you know what it feels like when your body is hydrated? Have you drank, half of your body weight in ounces daily, ever, right?
Are you supposed to?
Yes.
Okay.
Plus, you want to also add the ratio of 1 to 1.5 for every cup of coffee or caffeinated tea or alcohol that you have. So we're so dehydrated, first of all, that our cells don't have an opportunity to do their jobs. And then we're regularly, especially the standard African American diet, eating foods that typically clog our arteries and are sugar laden. We add sugar on top of the sugar stuff, all right? Like you mentioned, the GMOs, and everything that comes with that, all of the toxins that we're putting into our body. It's not just the food, though that is huge because we're in control of that to some degree. It's also what we put in our mind, what we look at on a daily basis, what we involve ourselves in, what we listen to, who we surround ourselves with. So it is about what we ingest, what we put in us, but the foundational level is, are we hydrated? Are we active? Can we put raw, organic, natural foods in our systems, the ones that we need? And do we know the difference? So, quick story, I was diagnosed with arthritis when I was 25 because it runs in my family and because I had all of the symptoms that seemed like that was true. Achy joints, and I still suffer from that at times. But what I learned on my journey of understanding my body was that I was allergic to something that I was eating regularly that was causing those symptoms. And it wasn't until I got those things out of my system, it took a long time to figure it out. But once I've truly eliminated those things, those symptoms went away also. And so did the need to take all of the pills that they, gave me to take for the side effects of the one pill, the other side effects for the next, right? So I've really just been impacted in a lot of ways by the health system and understanding that it's not on our side. And it's not there to help us get better. We have to make ourselves get better. We're responsible for ourselves. And we're responsible for taking care of this temple. So we have to do a little bit more than taking like the food pyramid as, holy grail over what needs to come into this individual body, because that would have me eating nightshades, tomatoes and potatoes and eggplants, yummy, great foods for everybody except me, because they cause problems in my body. But I took time to food log and to meet with a nutritional therapist and understand how, the chemicals within those foods are interacting with my body. So it's about, taking time to get to know yourself, reach out to find someone that can help you along the path because it's not already laid out. Understand the foundations really are hydration. It's about blood sugar regulation. So not just monitoring how much sugar did I add to the coffee in the morning, but how much sugar is in, the cereal that I'm eating. right? How much sugar is in the salad dressing that I'm putting on my salad? How is that impacting my body and my mind, more importantly? Because the mind, when the mind gets cloudy and foggy from all of the sugar ups and downs, the roller coasters that we go on from that. And there are other things. I pick on sugar because I just feel like it's the base demon. You know, it's the one that until we confront that square on, that it will continue to take us down. And, you know, every time we go to a funeral, it was a heartbreaker when I started my nutritional therapy program that my sister died. And right a day before I started the program, actually. And the funeral, I'm looking around at what, you know, my family members on her side of the family chose to offer. And it just occurred to me that this is why we're dying. And we continue to consume it, the list: fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, like some colored drinks, all those dyes that come in the sweets, on and on and on. So it's so problematic, but it's traditional and we pass it down. And we're attached to it. We're attached to our way of being and living and eating, and we don't necessarily want to give it up because it's what we say, it's who we are, right? So, be infinitely well. Choose right. Choose life for your life. Every chance you get.
Thank you.
Yes.
Wow. For folks who are out there like, I need to get in touch with you. If you offer these services, how can folks get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can find me online. You can find me through the POC directory, as well as the other health and wellness practitioners of color who are listed there. All are invited, so we want to make that a great network for us all. So please contribute to it if you are a practitioner. You can find me on my personal website at NichelleAlderson.com for therapeutic services, and Infinitely Well, liveinfinitelywell.com for all of the rest.
Awesome. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for sharing with us. And thank you for, again, just being a person here in our community. And congratulations on being a successful entrepreneur, too.
Oh, thank you for that. And thank you for inviting me and doing this. This is beautiful. I love what you've done, and the offering, the platform that you've created here.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is Black History Month, and again, I want to send a special thanks and shout out to POCAAN for sponsoring this night, and taking a leadership role in making this happen, so that we could do this, offering a multitude of services now, in addition to still staying strong in informing, educating, and providing support for those in whatever degree of age or HIV you are suffering from. You take care of it pretty much all the way around. That's POCAAN right on Rainier Avenue. And I want you to say goodbye in a minute, but I want to real quick in here, come back up here, Mark, just real quick, because we only got a couple minutes. But man, take the mic, show us a couple things we can do. All right?
Okay, so here you go. So I'm only going to say about 3 things, and that's it. So one of the things in the gym I see people do front raises with dumbbells because they're trying to develop the anterior deltoid. That's anterior mean front of the shoulder muscle. And so one of the things you're probably not going to want to do is turn your palm down in a pronated position and do it this way, because you have your shoulder joint, which is a glenoid joint, and then you have the little notch over it on the top called the acromion. And if you go like this, you're going to bring those 2 bones together, and it's going to impinge the nerve there. So that's a big no-no. If you have your hand palm facing in, it's much easier. You have a little more room in that area, and you get less of you have less chance of getting impingement that way. And you always go up 90 degrees. You don't go above 90 because, again, your arm can't go above 90 unless your shoulder blade comes up. If your shoulder blade comes up, you're in impingement mode. So stay at least 90. So that's one. The same thing with the lateral raise, stay 90, same principle applied. Then you'll be a lot safer. Both exercise, do with lightweight, even if you're a big guy. Don't get your ego in the way. You're going to get hurt that way. Stay with lightweight, and your shoulders will look great, I guarantee you. The squats are already been over, press your hips out to the rear. That's fine. The main thing you got to do is just do it slowly. Have a small goal in mind, something that's attainable, and go in there and take your time. Don't do a whole bunch at once, because guess what? Exercise is good for you, but if you do too much, it will make you sick. So keep your ego in check. Take it slowly. You'll be fine, and you'll look great. I'm still working on mine, but you know what I'm saying, all right? So come on, get it going. If going to the gym, take my advice. Don't be, hey, last thing, don't copy anyone. Don't copy anyone. I like who said that? You said, we all individuals. Don't copy anyone. If you're unsure, get a trainer. Get a national certified trainer. I'm not kidding. Ask for credentials, ask for experience. Don't just throw your money that way. Get a national certified trainer, someone who knows what they're doing with the experience, okay? Good luck to everyone. I appreciate you. I'm out. Mark your mark.
All right, and Mark, how can folks get in touch with you, man, if they want a training session and they want you to tell them more what they can do?
You can get in touch with me. My website is fitnessexpertmark.com, and my email is markbryant505@gmail.com. That's it. And if you want to see some stories and read about me, Google Mark Bryant, fitness instructor. I'm all over the Google. You can read all my news articles and television stuff. Okay?
All right.
Thank you very much.
My
I
man.
appreciate it.
Preston, before we go, come up here, bro. Again, I just want to close this out with you. And again, thank you.
Thank you.
For the 30 years that you've been, your organization and your decision to get involved and then again, the growth. I think that's important, man, that we need to spread the word about, how you are growing. We will.
That's the plan. I'd like to thank Rainier Avenue Radio, Tony B, once again for having us. I'd like to thank our keynote speaker, Cierra sisters, Ms. Bridgette Hempstead. And I'd like to thank all of our other presenters. One of the most important things that I got out of all of this is ask those questions. Those people who actually watched and tuned in, if you were sparked to really think about something in your own health, go find out some answers to it. We're POCAAN, like we said, we're right here on Rainier Avenue. Come see us. We can be reached at www.POCAAN, which is spelled POCAAN.org. And once again, thank all of y'all for participating. Thank all of y'all for watching and listening. And keep supporting things like Rainier Avenue Radio. Thank you.
My man. Thank you for joining us. And there's not much more I can say after that. It's been awesome celebrating Black History Month with you. 20 events in 28 days, not the least of which being tonight, Health Night. That's it. That's all the time we have. We'll be back with basketball from the Tacoma Dome Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, championship basketball. And, of course, we have wonderful, great programming. Check it out starting now. Thank you.